When many beginning teachers think about entering the classroom, one of their biggest concerns is classroom management. It can keep even experienced educators up at night. Without effective classroom management, very little learning can occur. Classroom management is not simply about discipline or responding to disruptive behavior. Effective classroom management is closely connected to every aspect of teaching, including lesson planning, student motivation, classroom relationships, and instructional decision making. Strong classroom managers build authentic relationships with students and develop a range of strategies they can use as different situations arise. There are several ways educators and researchers have approached classroom management. One perspective emphasizes caring classroom communities and respectful treatment of students. This approach is grounded in the belief that students respond positively when they feel valued, supported, and connected to their learning environment. Another perspective comes from behavioral theory. In this approach, teachers use reinforcement strategies such as praise, grades, rewards, or privileges to encourage desired behaviors. Consequences, such as reprimands, loss of privileges, or other penalties, may be used to discourage behaviors that interfere with learning. This is often referred to as behavior modification. A third perspective focuses on classroom ecology. Rather than concentrating primarily on discipline, this view emphasizes designing classroom activities that are well planned, engaging, and flow smoothly. Teacher interventions are ideally brief, targeted, and designed to keep learning moving forward. This leads to one of the central ideas in classroom management: prevention. Effective classroom managers often prevent many problems before they occur. Preventative classroom management includes thoughtful lesson planning, clear expectations, appropriate pacing, and instructional strategies that keep students engaged and accountable. Research on effective classroom managers has identified several common characteristics. These teachers are able to recognize inappropriate behavior quickly, address problems while continuing instruction, avoid unnecessary interruptions, maintain lesson momentum, and keep students actively involved in learning. An important component of preventative management is the establishment of rules and procedures. Rules define what students are expected to do and not do, while procedures explain how classroom routines and activities operate on a daily basis. Procedures may address topics such as classroom movement, student talk, transitions, independent work, obtaining assistance, or what students should do when they finish assignments early. One important principle is that procedures must be taught explicitly. Teachers should teach behavioral expectations in much the same way they teach academic content. Consistency is also essential. When expectations are not enforced consistently, students quickly become uncertain about classroom norms, and behavioral problems are more likely to emerge. Teachers can promote class flow by greeting students at the door, posting instructions, providing step-by-step transition directions, using timing reminders or signals, and allowing adequate time for closing activities. Classroom management also includes developing systems of accountability. Students benefit from clear communication about assignments and expectations. Teachers should monitor student progress, circulate throughout the room, provide feedback, and review assignments to address common errors and misconceptions. Even with strong preventative strategies, however, inappropriate or disruptive behaviors still occur. When responding to misbehavior, it is helpful to analyze possible causes. Students may act out because work feels boring or overly difficult. Outside experiences and emotional stressors may influence behavior in school. Some students respond negatively to highly authoritarian environments, while others engage in attention-seeking or rebellious behaviors as part of normal development. Because behavior has multiple causes, teachers must use professional judgment when deciding how and when to intervene. Effective interventions are often quick, precise, and designed to minimize disruption to instruction. Teachers may also choose to use rewards, praise, privileges, or consequences as a part of their classroom management approach. However, it's important to recognize that an over-reliance on external rewards can sometimes interfere with students' intrinsic motivation. Effective classroom management involves so much more than just maintaining order. It includes preventing disruptions, responding appropriately to behavioral challenges, creating caring classroom communities, and helping students develop self-discipline and responsibility. Next, let's hear from a teacher with years of experience supporting and managing classrooms in high-needs Title I school environments.
So we look like this because it's field day. Miss Davis, can you tell me what grades and subjects you have taught?
Okay, I think this is my 18th year, maybe ish. I've taught high school social studies. I've taught middle school social studies. Currently teaching 7th grade geography.
Okay. And how does classroom management look different in middle school versus high school?
They're definitely more immature in middle school. In high school, you can treat them a little bit more like adults, if that makes sense, especially if you got the older grade levels. But I had so many less issues in high school than I did in middle school, because
So-
they are definitely more mature.
Yeah.
Not
what do
all
you
of them.
find effective for classroom management in middle school?
Start off with definitely giving your expectations and hammering those expectations from day one.
All right, so after establishing expectations, what else is super helpful with classroom management?
Follow through, and also admin. If you don't have good admin, all the classroom management in the world doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But if you have awesome, supportive administration, it makes it a lot easier, because you have that expectations and then they have the expectations. So when you follow through and they follow through, it makes things a lot easier.
How do you think classroom management looks different with our generation of teachers than it did the previous generation?
Okay, well, we had a lot less technology. Well, I, as a geriatric millennial, had less technology. I know you had probably a cell phone much earlier in your lifetime than I
High
did.
school.
Well, I had it in college.
Yeah.
So there was definitely
There's
that
a lot of
technology
classroom
picture.
management with technology.
Yeah, we didn't. I mean, me and you didn't really have those problems of all the technology and all the bullying online and all of that came into it. We just bullied face to face, So it wasn't like, oh, that happened at home. They're posting that at home. We have to deal with that. Our teachers didn't have to deal with that.
There is a big element of like things that used to be handled at home are not so much anymore.
There is, because some of the things that they do, that if I did, I'd be dead. Like, no question.
So we have to plan for a lot more things to happen in school now.
Yeah, like there's, I feared nothing more than a phone call home, and I think my friends also feared nothing more than a phone call home.
Do you have any other advice on classroom management for new teachers?
You want the kids to like you, and you get that. But if you start off being their friend, you're going to have a rough year. They will like you setting expectations. And there will always be kids that dislike you no matter what. And letting them get away with murder isn't helping you or them. But if you set that expectations, definitely the kids will like you. So don't try to be their friend. You want to be their friend, but set those expectations, stick to those expectations, and also be fair with the expectations. The kid's having a rough day, but his grandmother died yesterday, and once you get to know your kids, you know those situations. But being tough but fair and having the expectations for everybody also helps.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.